If you're a fan of animated series with a mix of adventure and futuristic fantasy, Nexo Knights was a show that brought LEGO's imaginative world to life. Premiering on Cartoon Network in 2015, the 3D animated series was based on the LEGO theme of the same name and gave us a fresh take on the classic castle genre. With 4 exciting seasons and 40 episodes, the show introduced us to a team of knights defending their kingdom from evil forces. Though the LEGO group discontinued the Nexo Knights theme in 2018 and the series came to an end, it still holds a special place for its creative mix of medieval and futuristic worlds. So let's take a look back at the kingdom-saving adventures that made this series stand out. Before we begin, let's go through some background for better understanding of the story.
Nothing like a good Nexo power to send these monsters running!
The series follows 5 young knights living in the Kingdom of Knighton, a futuristic medieval world. Clay, Aaron, Lance, Princess Macy, and Axel are the brave knights who protect the kingdom and its capital, Knightonia, from the evil Jestro, the Book of Monsters, and their army of lava monsters. Alongside them are the Knightonia royal family, the digital wizard Murloc 2.0, Robin Underwood, and Ava Prentice, all offering their help to defend the kingdom from dangerous threats. So, without further ado, let's begin. It's the final graduation exam at Knights Academy.
151st Annual Knights Academy graduation ceremony!
Where the newest knights are ready to prove themselves. Clay, Aaron, Alex, and Lance each show off their skills, impressing the crowd. Princess Macy is excited to join them, but her father doesn't want her to graduate. As part of the celebration, the great wizard Murloc puts on a fantastic magic show. The audience is amazed by his tricks. After him, Jestro, the king's jester, takes the stage. Unfortunately, his performance is awful and everyone laughs at him, not because he's funny, but because he's such a mess. Feeling sad and unwanted, Jestro wanders through the halls of the king's castle.
You could be good at being bad, Jester.
That's when he hears a mysterious voice calling him from Murloc's library. It's the Book of Monsters, whispering tempting words. The book convinces Jestro to gather as many spell books as he can carry. Just as he starts collecting them, Clay walks in and catches him. Panicked, Jestro flips through the Book of Monsters, hoping to attack Clay. Before things get out of hand, Murloc appears. A fierce battle erupts in the library, magic flying everywhere. In a last attempt to stop Jestro, Murloc casts his strongest spell. Boom! A huge explosion shakes the castle. When Clay finally manages to get back inside the library, he's shocked as Murloc, Jestro, and all the magic books have vanished. When Jestro wakes up, he realizes that Murloc's powerful spell has blasted him far, far away from the king's castle. The books he tried to steal are scattered everywhere. Luckily for him, the Book of Monsters cushioned his fall. Now, with the book in his hands, Jestro has a new plan. He will use its magic to take revenge on those who laughed at him. Back at the castle, the king and his newly trained knights search through the ruins of Murloc's library. They need to come up with a plan fast because Jestro, along with his newly created magic monsters, is heading straight for them. Clay quickly steps up to lead the knights in defending the kingdom. They fight with all their strength and training, but Jestro's magic creatures are tough. Just when things seem hopeless, an old friend returns, Murloc, but this time, he's different.
Like Murloc 2.0!
He's now Murloc 2.0. Ava has been working hard to figure out what happened. She discovers that the strange ghost in the machine she's been tracking is actually Murloc, now in digital form. With his new abilities, Murloc can send powerful digital magic to help the knights. He downloads the perfect weapons to give them an edge in battle. With Murloc's help, the knights finally defeat Jestro and his monsters. After proving their bravery, they are officially named the Nexo Knights. The Nexo Knights are ready for action in the Fortrex, their amazing rolling castle. This powerful new headquarters is their key to defending Knightonia, with Murloc 2.0 running everything as their digital guide. The Fortrex lets the knights travel anywhere to stop Jestro and his monsters before they can cause too much trouble. Meanwhile, Jestro is up to no good. He sends his newly created monsters to attack a town far from the capital, thinking the knights won't be able to stop him in time. The story unfolds in two exciting ways. While Jestro experiments with his magic, creating more monsters and figuring out how to use his powers, the Nexo Knights are busy training. They work on their teamwork, learn how to use digital magic, and get better at fighting as a team. In the end, the Knights roll into action with the Fortrex, ready for battle. With Murloc 2.0's guidance and their newfound skills, they defeat Jestro and his rampaging monsters, proving that they are a force to be reckoned with. While wandering through the countryside, Jestro stumbles upon the mysterious Book of Chaos. Excited by its dark power, he decides to feed it to the Book of Monsters, hoping to make it even stronger. But to Jestro's surprise, the Book of Monsters warns him against it, saying he's not ready for such dangerous magic. However, Jestro ignores the warning and goes ahead with his plan. The result is worse than he imagined. The Book of Chaos unleashes wild, uncontrollable monsters. Jestro, thrilled with his new army, sets them loose on the kingdom, targeting King and Queen Halbert during their business tour. The royal couple, including Princess Macy's parents, is now in grave danger. When the Nexo Knights arrive, they realize the situation is more chaotic than ever. They must not only defeat the powerful monsters, but also protect the king and queen. In the midst of the confusion, Clay steps up as a true leader. He reminds the team of the Book of the Knights Code, a guide to honor, bravery, and teamwork. By following its principles, the Knights find their focus and bring order to the chaos. Jestro and the Book of Monsters travel to the ruins where the evil wizard Monstrox once unleashed his dark magic.
It's here. The Book of Destruction.
There, they discover the Book of Destruction. With its power, Jestro summons a wave of destructive monsters, including the fearsome lava monster Infernox. He sends them in different directions to cause chaos across the kingdom. Meanwhile, Princess Macy argues with her father, telling him she's done being a princess. But King Halbert refuses to accept it, insisting that she was born for this role. When the Nexo Knights learn about the monster attacks, one by one the knights fall into Jestro's trap and get captured, leaving them with no way to escape. But late at night, while the monsters sleep, Aaron manages to slip away unnoticed. Now he's the only hope to rescue his friends and stop Jestro before he launches a full attack on Nitonia. As Jestro's forces close in on the kingdom,
Evil book in that outcropping over there. I can smell it.
the Book of Monsters sends Beastmaster on a secret mission to retrieve a powerful book, one that could make him even stronger. Aaron knows he must come up with a plan to rescue his friends before it's too late. Meanwhile, Jestro starts to doubt if he really wants to destroy King Halbert. Sensing his hesitation, the Beastmaster feeds the Book of Revenge to the Book of Monsters, fueling Jestro's anger and strengthening the lava monster army's thirst for vengeance. As the knights remain captured, Macy has a moment of reflection. She recalls her childhood dream of becoming a knight instead of always being a princess. Deep down, she realizes she might not be fully ready to be a knight, just as Aaron suddenly appears. With his energy bow, he cuts the chains holding her and returns her shield and mace. Together, they move quickly to rescue Clay, who is tied to a spinning target. Once freed, they head to save Axel. To pull him up, they use a chain of sausages, but their first attempt fails. On the second try, they succeed, much to Axel's relief. Lastly, they find Lance trapped in an animal farm where he's made an unlikely new friend, a pig named Hamletta. With all the knights freed, they rush to stop Jestro, who is moments away from claiming victory. Just in time, Clay receives a legendary Nexo power, one that hasn't been seen for ages. With a single mighty strike of his sword, all the monsters turn to purple dust. Another powerful slam sends Jestro flying far beyond the borders of Nitonia. In the end, King Halbert realizes his mistake and apologizes to Macy. He proudly declares her an official Nexo Knight. As the celebration begins, Lance is reunited with his assistant Dennis, on one condition. Lance must agree to be Dennis's servant once a week. As the knights fight Jestro, they can't help but talk about how he never seems to win. No matter what he tries, they always manage to stop him. Once again, they defeat the tricky jester and his evil Book of Monsters. But after the battle, Murloc 2.0 notices something strange. He believes the attack on the village is somehow connected to the Knights Academy.
You must go back to school to protect the academy.
Murloc suggests the Knights return to the academy, not just to keep an eye out for Jestro, but also to refresh their training. The Knights aren't too excited about going back to school, but they agree. Once they arrive, they feel out of place among the students and struggle to adjust. Before long, Jestro attacks the academy just as Murloc suspected. The Knights quickly step in, helping the students defend the school. A big battle breaks out, with Jestro and his monsters causing chaos. But with teamwork and strategy, the Knights manage to stop Jestro from stealing any books. It seems like another victory, but as Jestro leaves, he secretly holds the real treasure he came for. A small snow globe with a tiny castle inside,
My snow globe, it's gone!
which had been sitting on the librarian's desk unnoticed. Back in the lava lands, Jestro tosses the snow globe into a volcano. The heat melts its icy magic, and from the fiery depths rises the enormous castle of Monstruck, finally free from its frozen prison. Jestro isn't sure what to do with his new castle in the lava lands. The Book of Monsters suggests every castle needs a big treasure room, so they decide to go out looting. The book convinces Jestro to summon General Magmar, and Jestro makes him the general manager of castle operations, which annoys Magmar. While looking around, Jestro and the Book of Monsters find the Book of Greed. This magical book will help them create greedy monsters who will gather all the treasure they need to fill the castle. Their first stop? The richest town in the realm, Autumnville. Meanwhile, in Autumnville, the Nexo Knights are at the Gold is Good ball at Lance's house. But when Jestro and his greedy monsters attack, a big battle breaks out. The monsters steal everything, including Lance's parents, Goldie and Cuthbert Richmond, who are dressed in their finest gold clothes. They look so valuable that the monsters take them too. Now, Lance is left with nothing and must face life without his family's riches. The Book of Monsters has its eyes on a limited edition, Ned Knightley comic book, which will be protected by the Nexo Knights until it's won at a costume contest during Nightacon, a parody of San Diego Comic-Con. Robin is also at the convention, showcasing his new mini-Trex, a small version of the Fortrex. However, General Magmar grows impatient with Jestro's plan to blend in with the crowd. He decides to launch a full attack on Nightacon, causing chaos and making the comic book get lost in the panic.
Ava, we need Murloc to send a Nexo power right now!
Luckily, the Mini-Trex extends the Nexo Knights connection to Murloc 2.0, allowing them to access their Nexo powers and locate the lost comic. In the end, Robin wins first prize in the costume contest, and he and the Nexo Knights get to keep the comic. On King Halbert's birthday, Jorah Tightwad aims to prove the Tidy Knighties are better than the Nexo Knights at the birthday tournament. He uses the Book of Envy to claim they had an encounter with Jestro. The stakes are high. If the Tidy Knighties win, Macy must kiss Tightwad. If they lose, Jorah has to kiss Lance's sweetheart.
Who really are the best knights in Knightonia?
The next day, the tournament begins to determine the best knights in Knightonia. The Tidy Knighties beat the Nexo Knights in every challenge, except Macy, who is forced to act as her father's princess and can't compete. King Halbert seems hesitant to end the tournament, but suddenly, Jestro and the Book of Monsters lead an attack with the Lava Monster Army. The Tidy Knighties prove useless in battle, cowering in fear. In the midst of the chaos, Tightwad reveals how he obtained the Book of Envy. It fell into his hands when Murloc scattered the evil spellbooks in the first episode. This distraction allows Jestro to steal the book. After powering up, the Nexo Knights defeat the Lava Monster Army and are declared the true winners of the tournament. Jorah protests, arguing that the Tidy Knighties were clearly superior, but the Tidy Knighties admit they're great at shows and sports, but not at fighting monsters. As a result, Tightwad is forced to kiss Lance's sweetheart, which turns out to be Hamletta, the pig, much to his horror.
Great job, Nexo Knights!
King Halbert expresses pride in Macy, saying there's a time to be a princess and a time to be a knight. Meanwhile, Jestro and the Book of Monsters successfully steal the Book of Envy, which is soon consumed by the Book of Monsters. Chef Gobbleton Rambley has created a chili recipe so spicy that the Book of Monsters plans to weaponize it. To stop this, Clay arranges a cook-off between Axel and Chef Eclair, with the grand prize being the cookbook containing Rambley's chili recipe. Jestro sends Moltor and Lavaria undercover to enter the contest as well. Eclair sends the Nexo Knights to find an incredibly spicy pepper that explodes if mishandled. Meanwhile, Lance and Aaron engage in a contest to see who can tolerate the spiciest peppers, though Murloc 2.0 disapproves of their challenge. Despite Jestro's interference, the Nexo Knights succeed in obtaining the pepper and use it to win the cook-off. However, their chili turns out so spicy that it burns the grand prize cookbook to nothing when spilled. Chef Rambly then admits that he never liked spicy peppers or chili. Lance and Aaron are left to eat the final pepper in their contest.
I told you to stop this silly contest.
But Murloc takes it away, trying to dispose of it. Unfortunately, he accidentally drops the pepper, causing it to explode. The Nexo Knights send Clay on vacation to give him some well-deserved rest, unaware that Jestro and the Book of Monsters are searching for another evil spellbook near his vacation spot. Clay soon discovers that the staff at his resort are treating him terribly, serving him moldy food and demanding tips, all thanks to the influence of the Book of Cruelty. Meanwhile, back at the castle, the Nexo Knights are neglecting their duties, which leads to problems like Murloc glitching, no food, and plumbing issues. Realizing they need to get back on track, they rush to rescue Clay. Clay is captured by Jestro, and the Book of Cruelty is fed to the Book of Monsters, giving it the power to summon the lava monsters Crust Smasher and Flamethrower. Fortunately, the other Nexo Knights arrive just in time to save Clay, and they drive Jestro's forces away. In the end, Clay learns an important lesson about balancing work and relaxation, just as the Knights begin to focus more on their duties. During a dinner party in Cleanington, the Nexo Knights learn that the Book of Monsters has traveled to Snottingham, the coldest place in Knighton, to consume the sickening Snotheiser.
This has got to be the coldest place in the entire kingdom.
This makes the Book of Monsters and the lava monsters he summons very unhealthy. The Nexo Knights rush to stop the attack on Snottingham, but when they face the lava monsters, they get sneezed on and catch the Snottingham flu. The flu causes strange symptoms. Clay starts hallucinating. Macy feels pins and needles. Aaron gets dizzy and uncoordinated. And Axel loses his appetite. Lance doesn't seem to show many symptoms, though he complains that his hair lost its shine. Meanwhile, the Book of Monsters makes a full recovery. Just before Jestro and the Book of Monsters can kidnap King and Queen Halbert, Murloc and Ava send a Nexo Power with an antivirus system that cures the Knight's sickness. With their symptoms gone, the Knights are able to defeat Jestro and the Book of Monsters. Jestro and his monsters march into Funnyton, ready to pillage, but when they arrive, they find the town empty. Suddenly they hear laughter. The entire town is gathered,
Jokes Nightly? Oh, I love that guy!
listening to a comedian, Jokes Nightly, who is incredibly funny. He has so much power and control over the crowd that Jestro and the Book of Monsters decide they need to be funny too. They order comedy books from Spamazon, covering everything from slapstick to knock-knock jokes, and even work up a ventriloquist act with the Book of Monsters sitting on Jestro's lap. To their surprise, they become hilarious. The Nexo Knights, arriving in the Fortrex, prepare for battle. They fight through a bunch of monsters outside the town, but soon realize that the monsters are just bouncers, keeping people out of the comedy club. In the latest episode, it's revealed that the person Jestro gave the Book of Betrayal to is Clay. He leads Jestro to the Fortrex, starting a chain of events that puts the Nexo Knights in danger. The Book of Monsters wants to get the Book of Betrayal and Jestro, so the Knights split up to distract them. They fight hard, but Clay gets trapped.
Hand over the book and the clown.
In a surprising move, Jestro, now reformed, sacrifices himself so Clay can escape with the Book of Betrayal. This gives Clay a chance to run, but the situation is far from over. The Nexo Knights quickly plan a rescue mission to save Jestro from the volcano lair. When they find him, they face a bigger threat than they expected. The Book of Monsters reveals that it's not just a book, but the dark wizard Monstrox. Murloc had turned him into a book, and Monstrox spread his power across 11 books. Now he needs Jestro's body to complete a ritual in the Dark Arena and regain his human form. Monstrox believes the Book of Betrayal will help him do this by corrupting the Knights. Meanwhile, it looks like Clay has been affected by the Book of Betrayal. He begins bringing the book to Monstrox, unknowingly helping the Dark Wizard. The Nexo Knights must hurry to save Clay and stop Monstrox from getting his full power. Clay hands over the Book of Betrayal, not because he's been corrupted, but to trade it for Jestro's freedom. Monstrox agrees to the deal and frees Jestro, but instead of letting Clay go, he chains him up to use his body for the dark ritual. To complete the ceremony, Monstrox spits out the evil spell books. Meanwhile, the other Nexo Knights follow Clay to the Book of Monsters' lair, but they're overpowered by the lava monster army. They have no choice but to go through a dangerous backdoor entrance with Jestro. As they reach Clay, the Book of Monsters is almost finished with the ritual. But Jestro and the Nexo Knights hold off Monstrox long enough for Robin to give Clay Murloc and Tech Caliber. Clay feeds them to Monstrox, and the power of Murloc 2.0 overwhelms him. Monstrox explodes into energy, destroying his book form and freeing Jestro from the evil influence. Murloc 2.0 is thought to be destroyed as well, but when Robin fixes Tech Caliber's motherboard, they discover Murloc 2.0 survived. Jestro is forgiven for his past actions and reinstated as the court jester. The Nexo Knights celebrate their victory with the kingdom, but as Jestro looks up at the sky, he sees Monstrox's face, hinting that the necromancer's spirit might still be alive. It has been months since the destruction of the Book of Monsters. The Knights have made lives for themselves. Clay is a teacher at Knighton Academy. Lance is a host for the Knighton News Network. Aaron is a stunt performer, and Axel is a TV chef. On Princess Macy's part, she has been unsuccessful at getting each of the towns to be more defensive from future monster attacks. But all is not well. A storm is brewing over Knighton as Jestro tries to make amends with the people he has wronged. Monstrox has taken the form of a storm cloud and once again takes control of Jestro by zapping him with his evil lightning. Arriving at a fortress in Gulia, the cloud of Monstrox raises an army of lightning-infused stone monsters. His first target is the new Lavalands amusement center that was established by Mr. Richmond on the property of the Lava Monster Army's former base. When Lance is overwhelmed by the stone monster army, Murloc summons the rest of the knights. Meanwhile, Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox go under the amusement park. When Jestro finds Monstrox's former Book of Monsters body, the Cloud of Monstrox tells him to hold on to it as he has grown attached to it. Jestro then uncovers the staff that Monstrox used before he was split into different spellbooks. The Nexo Knights arrive to assist Lance and return to their duties as knights. However, now that Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox have the Staff of Monstrox, they head to the Iron Mountains, where the Cloud of Monstrox awakens a Rogul that held a tablet containing the forbidden power of relentless rust, which rusts any metal that it touches while infusing the Guardian with the dark magic. During the Stone Monster Army's attack on Armorville, the Rogul starts rusting every statue it comes in contact with while the Cloud of Monstrox reanimates the statues there. The knights arrive, but their armor and the Fortrex's treads are rusted by the Rogul and Jestro, with Clay's hand briefly turning to stone when he gets blasted by the forbidden power, and then crashes into a statue just as Monstrox zaps it. Luckily, Murloc has devised a way for the Nexo Knights to combine Nexo powers, a strategy that makes them powerful enough to destroy the stone monsters and send them into the Cloud of Monstrox. After the retreat of Jestro and Monstrox, Robin gives the Nexo Knights new armor meant to be resistant to all of the forbidden powers. During a solo training session, while his cohorts are celebrating their victory, Clay privately confides to Murloc that his fighting skills seem to be deteriorating. When Murloc scans him, he realizes Clay has been cursed with dark, ancient magic and advises him not to tell the others.
That's it, fellas. Let's get all the tracks de-rusted in.
After recovering his memories of the forbidden powers, Murloc 2.0 reveals to the knights their origins. The forbidden powers were dark, destructive spells created by Monstrox during his insanity. Although Murloc eventually defeated Monstrox, the spells were too powerful to destroy. Instead, Murloc sealed them away in stone tablets and created the Roguls to protect them. Meanwhile, Jestro and Monstrox enlist a sculptor named Roberto Arnoldi, who crafts stone monsters for them.
I'm the renowned sculptor, Roberto.
Upon reaching Mount Thunderstruck's, Jestro transfers the spell Relentless Rust into one of the mountain's stone pillars. With Arnoldi's creations ready, Jestro and Monstrox attack a town, but the Nexo Knights manage to trick the Rogel into destroying Jestro's evil mobile. Meanwhile, Clay begins to show signs of turning to stone, adding urgency to their mission. Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox enter a swamp, searching for the forbidden power of ravaging rot. This power causes organic matter to decay and reanimates the petrified forms of the three harpies, Hilda, Ingrid, and Bullwicker. With their new power in hand, Jestro orders Roberto to build a new mobile headquarters for the stone monster army after the destruction of the evil mobile. Meanwhile, the Nexo Knights grow concerned when they discover that Clay is suffering from an illness that is slowly turning him to stone. As Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox unleash the forbidden power, they rot food and wood throughout the land, much to Axel's dismay. The Knights, without Clay, manage to corner Jestro over a wooden bridge,
The people will come crawling to Jestro, begging for his mercy.
heading toward the largest fruit dispensary in the kingdom. However, Ava struggles with calibrating a suitable combo power. Just as Jestro uses the ravaging rot to destroy the bridge, Clay arrives in a new exosuit designed by Robin to turn the tide of the battle. The Nexo Knights manage to gain the upper hand, forcing Jestro and his forces to retreat in the new mobile headquarters created by Arnoldi. After the battle, Jestro and Monstrox return to Mount Thunderstruck's, where they transfer the ravaging rot into another of the mountain's stone pillars, preparing for their next move. Several recent robberies in Rockwood Forest, all committed by the bandit robot Hoodlum, have caused a stir. Hoodlum steals from the rich and gives to the neglected squire bots, and each robbery has the Cloud of Monstrox lurking in the background. The latest robbery involves Jorah Tightwad and the Tidy Knighties, leading the Nexo Knights to believe that the Cloud of Monstrox and Hoodlum are working together. They are right. Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox arrive in Rockwood Forest to enlist Robot Hoodlum's help. However, Hoodlum refuses to cooperate. To force his hand, the Cloud of Monstrox uses lightning to manipulate Hoodlum's programming, making him steal the Nexo Knights' shields. This upsets Dennis, Hoodlum's biggest fan.
You gotta do it yourself.
The Nexo Knights, with Dennis's help, track down the camp where Hoodlum aids the neglected squire bots and works with Jestro. Realizing that they are vulnerable, the Cloud of Monstrox animates all the Grimrocks in the forest that had been turned to stone by Murloc, who once served Monstrox. With Clay still in his exosuit, he manages to use a combo power to defeat most of the Grimrocks. The remaining Grimrocks retreat with Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox. The Nexo Knights reclaim their shields, and Robin repairs Robot Hoodlum and his merry mechs. Inspired by Clay's use of the combo power, Robin builds exosuits for the rest of the Nexo Knights. However, Clay is still slowly turning to stone, knowing that soon a successor will be needed. Meanwhile, Robot Hoodlum, impressed by Clay, gives Lance 4 robots to serve him, each of which Lance names after Dennis. Finally, the original Dennis joins Hoodlum's merry mechs, marking a new chapter for both Hoodlum and the Nexo Knights. Axelina calls upon Axel and the Nexo Knights when people start disappearing in Diggington, including Axel's parents. The mystery deepens as it turns out they are being kidnapped by General Garg and the Stone Monsters, working for Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox. The plan is to use the kidnapped townspeople to unearth the 3 brothers, Rogue, Riex, and Rumble, whose petrified remains were hidden by the Wizards' Council. The Nexo Knights, using Aaron to spy on the Stone Army, quickly spring into action. With their battlesuits on, Murloc 2.0 uses the Fortrex to keep the Cloud of Monstrox away from the mine. However, things take a turn when the 3 brothers are successfully unearthed. Roberto gives Rumble's disembodied head a car-like body, making him a formidable opponent against the Nexo Knights. Meanwhile, the tunnel walls block the communication signal, leaving the Nexo Knights momentarily powerless.
Before I freed the 3 brothers. Well, you're too late.
Just as things look grim, Lance remembers the camera he used for Jurgen's reality show. The camera's signal can extend, allowing the Nexo Knights to power up once more, but the Cloud of Monstrox sneaks into the mine through a canyon. Unfortunately for him, the canyon walls absorb most of his moisture, reducing him in size and forcing the Stone Monster army to retreat. With the miners, including Axel's parents, freed, the Cloud of Monstrox is forced to briefly use his book cover as a body until he can recover enough moisture. Meanwhile, Clay continues to petrify, and he begins speaking with his successor, though the figure remains hidden from view, leaving the future uncertain. Knowing the time for a change is near, Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox lead the stone monster army to the town of Birmingham in search of the Rogol associated with the forbidden power of blazing burn, which grants the ability to create and throw fireballs that can set anything on fire. To their surprise, the inhabitants of Birmingham are members of the lava monster army, who were left without a base after its destruction. They stumbled upon the Rogol, and with newfound hope, began building a town around it. General Magmar has become the mayor, Lavaria is a yoga teacher, Whipperella is a street artist, Bookkeeper performs on a glockenspiel, and Flamma and Moltor run the Hot Rock Cafe. The Cloud of Monstrox's attempt to take the Rogol from Sparks and Burnsy fails when General Magmar recognizes him and refuses to work for him again. After being blown out of the village by Whipperella, the Cloud of Monstrox tells Jestro about the encounter. Jestro asks why he didn't just use his evil lightning on them, to which the Cloud of Monstrox replies that he didn't think it would be necessary. Upon learning about this, the Nexo Knights head to Birmingham. The lava monsters, who have renounced violence as part of their redemption, are now taught how to fight again so they can defend their town from the stone monster army. Meanwhile, Roberto Arnoldi, inspired by Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox's exchange about being airheads, sculpts a flying part of their mobile headquarters. While Jestro seems to have succeeded in stealing the Rogol, it is later revealed that Beastmaster was used as a decoy, allowing him to escape. The real Rogul is taken to the Fortrex, where the Nexo Knights plan to study the forbidden powers. Ava figures out that the information Murloc 2.0 needs is hidden in the Knighton Castle library. As Clay and Murloc 2.0 continue to converse with the unidentified successor, the lava monsters celebrate their victory and begin sparring with one another, marking a new chapter for their town. Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox bring the stone monster witch, Rowena Stoneheart, to life, using her to help the Harpies capture Queen Halbert during her visit to Hammerin. Despite resistance from Macy and the mayor of Hammerin, Rowena and the Harpies successfully complete their mission, capturing Queen Halbert with the help of Roberto's new capture cruiser. Upon hearing of the capture, King Halbert sends Macy a much-needed gift, a dragon-like vehicle designed by Robin called Hotspur. The Nexo Knights quickly mobilize to save Queen Halbert, but it turns out the capture was a diversion. While the Knights are distracted, the Stone Monster army steals the Rogol containing the forbidden power of Blazing Burn and Tech Caliber from the Fortrex, causing significant damage to it. Axel, Aaron, and Lance chase after Jestro and the Rogol, while Macy and Clay pursue Rowena. Unfortunately, the Stone Monster army escapes with both the reanimated Rogol and the forbidden power of Blazing Burn. Although Queen Halbert is safely rescued, Clay's transformation into stone is finally complete. The Nexo Knights decide to keep this news from King Halbert and instead mourn the loss of Clay with Murloc 2.0, Ava, and Robin. The forbidden power of Blazing Burn is transferred into another one of the pillars atop Mount Thunderstrox. With power drawn from the 4 forbidden powers they've collected, the Cloud of Monstrox grows to immense proportions, revealing their true intention. The pillars sit atop the petrified Colossus of ultimate destruction. Once all 10 forbidden powers are gathered, the Colossus will awaken and wreak havoc on Knighton. Back in the Fortrex, the identity of Clay's successor is revealed. Aaron will take the lead of the Nexo Knights until a cure for Clay's petrification is found.
Stepped up. Yes!
Meanwhile, the Stone Monster army launches an attack on Knighton. King Halbert, Queen Halbert, the Royal Guards, Sir Brickland, and the students at the Knights Academy all join forces to defend the city. The Cloud of Monstrox's plan is to use his enhanced lightning to destroy every server in the Knighton Library Tower, wiping out Murloc 2.0 and his entire database, including the Nexo powers and all of his memories. As the Nexo Knights approach the city, they battle through reanimated Grimrocks, aided by Dennis and robot hoodlums Merry Mex. The Knights eventually reach King Halbert, who is fighting the reanimated statues of previous Knighton kings. At the same time, Robin uses the Mini-Trex to connect Murloc 2.0 to the server system so they can download a backup of his memories before the Cloud of Monstrox can erase them. While Aaron's battlesuit gains a combo power from Murloc 2.0 to defeat the Cloud of Monstrox, a bolt from the cloud appears to destroy Murloc 2.0. However, Aaron uses the combo power to send the Cloud of Monstrox back into his book body, forcing the Stone Monster army to retreat to Mount Thunderstrox, believing they have won. It is later revealed that Murloc 2.0's core was preserved thanks to the mini-treks, and Ava begins the process of rebuilding his systems to restore him. During this time, Robin, piloting the Black Knight mech, uncovers a carving on a stone tablet dropped by Roberto Arnoldi. The carving reveals the Cloud of Monstrox's plan to awaken the Colossus of ultimate destruction, setting the stage for the Nexo Knights' next challenge. Jestro, still attempting to lift the Cloud of Monstrox's spirits after their defeat in the Season 3 finale, decides to ambush the Fortrex. Unbeknownst to them, the Nexo Knights are at a party hosted by King Halbert. Meanwhile, Ava successfully restores Murloc 2.0 to the Fortrex, and with his help, the students of Knighton Academy are granted a Nexo power that allows them to fight back against the Stone Monster army. Without the Cloud of Monstrox to reanimate them, the Stone Monsters are forced to retreat, much to the Cloud of Monstrox's amusement. King Halbert, wanting to cheer up the kingdom, organizes a party in honor of Clay, although no one has told the kingdom about his petrification. The Nexo Knights decide to remote control Clay's battlesuit for the event, but things go awry when Macy loses control of the suit. This results in the Knights working together to pin it down, creating a chaotic but funny situation. After the party, the Nexo Knights finally reveal the truth about Clay's condition to King and Queen Halbert. The royal couple agrees to keep Clay's situation a secret from the rest of the kingdom, understanding the importance of protecting the morale of their people. The Nexo Knights return to the Fortrex and place Clay on top, telling everyone that he's a statue commissioned by King Halbert to honor their fallen friend. However, Murloc 2.0 is still having trouble with his systems, experiencing short-term memory loss and general malfunctions. Despite this, he instructs Robin to start working on a secret project, urging him not to share the details with the others. Meanwhile, Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox acquire the Rogul containing the forbidden power of Shocking Scare, which temporarily removes all courage from its victims, rendering them too frightened to resist. However, when the Nexo Knights combine their powers with a combo move, they gain the upper hand. As they fight, the Cloud of Monstrox spots Clay in his petrified state and decides to use his lightning to revive him. But instead of returning Clay to normal, the power corrupts him, transforming him into a loyal servant of the Cloud of Monstrox. Clay, now calling himself the Grey Knight, becomes a formidable weapon, attacking the Fortrex with the intent to destroy Murloc 2.0 once and for all. While the other Nexo Knights struggle to fight their friend, Murloc 2.0 works on a spell that he hopes will restore Clay's true nature. However, Robin, eager to help, inadvertently gives Murloc 2.0 too much power. The resulting backlash sends Clay flying out of the Fortrex and deep into the desert. The Knights, now determined to find their friend and restore him, prepare for a new challenge. The next day, Clay awakens, still in his petrified form and with no memory of the events that transpired. He finds himself in a desolate western town, unsure of how he got there, marking the beginning of a new journey for the once heroic knight. Clay wakes up in the western town of Nothing Hill, his memories wiped clean by Murloc's spell. Jorah Tightwad, seeing an opportunity, manipulates Clay into thinking he is his servant. Tightwad orders Clay to threaten the townspeople with destruction unless they hand over the rights to a nearby gold mine. The townspeople are terrified, unsure of how to stand up to the mighty warrior. Meanwhile, the other Nexo Knights locate Clay and split up to find him faster. Macy and Lance arrive first, but are forced to battle Clay due to his confused and hostile state. Though hesitant to fight their friend, they struggle against his powerful new form. Just in time, Axel and Aaron find Jestro and the Stone Monster army, who are experimenting with the forbidden power of Shocking Scare. Axel is struck by the power, losing all his courage and becoming too fearful to fight back. Aaron fights off Jestro and escapes with Axel, rushing to Nothing Hill. In the town, Macy and Lance manage to restore Clay's memories and morality, breaking the manipulation by Tightwad. Clay, now himself again, uses his strength to expel Tightwad from Nothing Hill and ensures that the gold mine is given to the townspeople as a fair share. With his courage returned, Axel joins the battle, now brave enough to stand against the forces of evil. However, as the Nexo Knights celebrate their victory, Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox manage to transfer the forbidden power of Shocking Scare into another pillar atop Mount Thunderstrox, adding another dangerous power to their arsenal arsenal and bringing them closer to their ultimate goal. Clay has seemingly turned evil once again, having wiped out the Nexo Knights in a devastating attack. However, this news was part of a ruse to deceive Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox into thinking that their mission was successful. To get closer to their operations, Clay undergoes intense spy training under the guidance of Jack Shields, a parody of James Bond. Posing as a villainous version of himself, Clay infiltrates Jestro's forces, gaining crucial information about their plans to collect the forbidden powers. While deep in enemy territory, Clay befriends Rowena Stoneheart, and during a handshake, a surge of mysterious energy passes between them. As Clay continues to gather intel, the stakes rise when Robin's life is put in danger. Unable to hold his cover any longer, Clay's true identity is exposed. The Nexo Knights quickly respond with an ambush, forcing Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox's forces to retreat. Back at the Fortress, Clay shares the details of Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox's plans with the rest of the team. However, Macy and Murloc 2.0 begin to notice something is wrong with Clay. His behavior is different, and Murloc 2.0 suspects that Rowena has cursed him with dark magic, further complicating their mission and raising new concerns about Clay's fate. The Nexo Knights are forced to face not only the dangerous threat of the forbidden powers, but also the potential loss of their teammate to the dark forces.
That stings! I don't know who you are, but any enemy...
After his uncontrollable rage sabotages an important interrogation, Clay decides to leave the Nexo Knights to meditate, hoping to regain control over his emotions. Meanwhile, Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox manage to get their hands on the forbidden power of devious demolition, which gives them the ability to break off parts of rocks, objects, and structures. The Cloud of Monstrox uses this power to animate the debris, creating an overwhelming army of rubble to attack the Nexo Knights. As the situation worsens, Jestro causes a massive avalanche that disables the Nexo power transmitter, forcing the Nexo Knights to retreat to the top of a mountain. There, they meet an old ally of Murloc's, the Great Rakowski, a magician and demolitions expert who had renounced violence and pacifism after dedicating his life to peaceful living. However, when the Stone Monster army destroys his topiary garden, Rakowski is forced to take action. Using his formidable skills, he drives the Stone Monster army away, allowing the Nexo Knights to repair the transmitter and restore their access to Nexo powers, further strengthening the Cloud of Monstrox's growing power. Back in his secluded meditation, Clay finds himself unable to find peace. Rowena Stoneheart invades his mind, pushing his emotions over the edge. His meditation, meant to calm him, instead twists his psyche, making him even more violent, vengeful, and determined to destroy Jestro, the Cloud of Monstrox, and the entire Stone Monster army. After acquiring the Rogel associated with the forbidden power of metamorphosis, Kraken Beast and their army back to life, using their dark magic to reanimate them, the army was unearthed by Jorah Tightwad, who had unknowingly played a part in this dire event. Lord Krakenskull wields the amalgamated forbidden power of Petrified Quake, a devastating ability that allows his Kraken Beast to generate powerful earthquakes with each stomp and petrify anything it roars at. With these abilities, Lord Krakenskull's army proves to be an unstoppable force, quickly turning the Nexo Knights' vehicles to stone and forcing the team to retreat. Even with the use of a combo Nexo power, the Knights are unable to break through the army's overwhelming power. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, Clay arrives, determined to save his friends. In a brutal and chaotic display of power, he destroys enough of Petrified Quake's effects to reverse the damage, unleashing a violent fury that the Nexo Knights can hardly control. It's only when Rowena intervenes, using her powers to slow him down, that Clay finally stops, but not before leaving a trail of devastation. Clay rejoins the Nexo Knights, now more determined than ever to fight back, but Rowena's plans continue to unfold, deepening the threat they face. After the Stone Monster army retreats, heading toward Mount Thunderstrox, Jestro uses the forbidden power of metamorphosis on Jorah Tightwad's Gold City and his coins as a form of payback. This act is in revenge for Tightwad cheating him and the Cloud of Monstrox out of the stolen gold they had once taken from Stinkin' Rich and Happy Hill. After another intense training session, Clay falls into another uncontrollable frenzy, which deeply worries the team. Lance, observing the chaos, believes that Aaron, as the new leader, needs more help in managing the team and controlling Clay's increasingly erratic behavior. Meanwhile, Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox, having obtained the Roggles associated with the forbidden powers of malicious melting, evil evaporate, and confounding confusion, continue their dark mission. The first two forbidden powers are successfully transferred into the pillars atop Mount Thunderstrox, pushing the Cloud of Monstrox closer to their goal. The Nexo Knights track them down, only to arrive as Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox are about to transfer the last forbidden power. During this confrontation, Clay's rage flares up once again. In a violent outburst, he destroys the forbidden power of confounding confusion, but is still overcome by his uncontrollable fury. In the heat of the moment, he attempts to kill Ruina. However, she reveals a shocking truth. She is Clay's mother, and she curses him, hoping to corrupt him into following her dark path.
We got him outnumbered and overpowered.
Upon returning to the Fortrex, Murloc 2.0 confirms the truth. Ruina is indeed Clay's mother, and Clay possesses a unique and powerful magical ability that could even surpass Murloc's own powers. Realizing that his cursed rage has become too powerful to control, Clay uses his newfound magic to force Macy to accept a Nexo power. This power compels her to return Clay to his inanimate, petrified state, much to her heartbreak and misery. She's forced to make the devastating decision, leaving her to mourn the loss of Clay once more, while the rest of the team contemplates how to deal with his increasingly dangerous powers and the dark influence of his mother. Murloc 2.0's revelation sends shockwaves through the team as he explains that not only is Ruina Clay's mother, but she was once known as Wanda Morrington, Murloc's sister, and a member of the prestigious Wizards Council. Wanda, once pure-hearted and dedicated to the magical arts, fell victim to Monstrox's influence, which corrupted her beyond redemption. In an attempt to stop her dark transformation, Murloc was forced to petrify her, a decision that haunts him to this day. As Clay's uncle, Murloc feels a heavy responsibility for his nephew and becomes his parental guardian, vowing to protect him from the same fate that befell Wanda. He decides not to reveal the truth of Clay's powers, fearing that if Clay learns of his potential, he may follow Ruina's dark path. Meanwhile, the Stone Monster Army, under Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox's command, has acquired the final and most devastating forbidden power, Awesome Annihilation. This power can obliterate an entire town with a single explosive blast, making it the most dangerous weapon in their arsenal. The Nexo Knights, now fully adapted to their battle suits and vehicles, race against time to stop the transfer of this ultimate power into the last pillar atop Mount Thunderstrox. Despite their efforts, the transfer succeeds. Awesome Annihilation is unleashed, and the resulting electrical storm wreaks havoc on the environment, causing Mount Thunderstrox to collapse and the stone Colossus of ultimate destruction to awaken from within. As the Colossus rises, the Cloud of Monstrox enters and possesses it, relieving Jestro of command and asserting his own dominance over the colossal creature. With the Colossus now fully awakened, it begins its destructive march towards a nearby town, its immense power threatening everything in its path. The Stone Army follows closely behind, ready to lay waste to the world. Aaron, now the leader of the Nexo Knights, is left grappling with uncertainty. How can they possibly defeat such a monstrous foe? Back at the Fortrex, a mysterious blue glow begins to flow from Clay's petrified body, signaling an unnatural energy that could change everything. The Nexo Knights scramble to protect the kingdom, evacuating towns and villages as the Colossus of ultimate destruction continues its rampage, obliterating everything in its path with the destructive might of the forbidden powers. With Monstrox still in control of the Colossus, the Knights hatch a daring plan to buy themselves time. They aim to lure the Colossus onto a bridge and destroy it, sending the giant into a deep chasm below. While this would temporarily halt the Colossus, they rely on Robin to complete his secret project, a crucial endeavor that could turn the tide in their favor. However, in order for Robin's project to succeed, Murloc 2.0 must be transferred into the Knighton Library, a risky move that leaves the Fortrex vulnerable. Meanwhile, inside the Fortrex, Clay, whose consciousness has remained intact despite his petrified state, taps into his latent magical abilities. Using his newfound powers, he shatters the stone that encases him, returning to his human form. Now, freed from the curse and restored to his normal state of mind, Clay quickly rushes to aid Robin with the completion of the project, his magical prowess providing invaluable assistance. Just as it seems the Knights might have the upper hand, disaster strikes. The The Colossus, with its immense strength and relentless drive, manages to escape the chasm, breaking free from their trap. In a horrifying turn of events, the Colossus swallows Axel whole, leaving the remaining Nexo Knights scrambling to regroup at the fortress. Monstrox, unaffected by the setback, turns his attention to his next target, Knighton's castle in the heart of Knightonia. Clay vows to find and cure his mother, Rowena. However, as Jestro and Roberto clean up the remains of the Colossus, Rowena steals a glowing fragment of it, holding Monstrox's soul. The story ends with a cliffhanger, hinting at a new threat. So that will be it from us. If you enjoyed the video, let us know which character was your favorite. Also, do not forget to leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for similar content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the next one.